Vince Brown in the morning.
It's all about you. The Bigs Radio Network.
15 past the hour on Vince Brown in the morning. Get at us on the Bigs Radio line. Talk or text 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. It must feel really good to be the National Spelling Bee champ, especially when you're the first African-American one. That's how Zayla Avant-Garde of Harvey, Louisiana is feeling right now. The 14-year-old, fresh to death off of a great experience at the ESPYs this past weekend. She's not even in high school yet, and she's getting scholarship offers up the wazoo. The first one out of the gate? How about Southern University Baton Rouge? Yeah. You're like, look, we know you got that black girl magic. Bring it up here to Jaguar Land. Not to be outdone, however, LSU's first black president, William Tate IV, said, you know what? I'll take Southern Scholarship and raise you one. So now we got a battle on the bayou. Which one of those schools will get the services of the hoop phenom, the Guinness World Record holder, and National Spelling Bee champ? Now, she herself has expressed interest in going to Harvard. Nah, I smell a full court press here. A very hard one. Because Southern and LSU gonna definitely try to keep her in the bayou for real, for real. But I think no matter where this young lady goes, you already know the sky is the limit. And again, she's not even in high school yet. Vince Brown in the morning. Check your watches. It is 17 past the hour.
Vince Brown in the morning.
Your community leader. The Bigs Radio Network.
Vince Brown.
BigsRadio.com.
Vince Brown in the morning.
Name it and claim it. The Bigs Radio Network.
30 past the hour on Vince Brown in the morning. Get at us on the Bigs Radio line. Talk or text 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. Just a reminder, you can always catch us 6 a.m. Central Time on the mothership, BigsRadio.com, or out east through our Philadelphia affiliate, SoulRadio51Philly.com, 7 a.m. And it's Hump Day. You know what that means. It's a live edition of Bedtime Stories with Dr. Al Greer. Tonight, 9 p.m. Central Time on the mothership, BigsRadio.com. Boy, they was having a good time in Charlottesville, Virginia this weekend. Holy moly. Thomas Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee have had themselves unceremoniously removed from their pedestals. The Charlottesville City Council voted earlier this year to remove the statues, but it would put on ice as a legal challenge worked to preserve the two statues. Well, April of this year, the Virginia Supreme Court ruled in favor of the City Council, and them bad boys was out of here quicker than you can say Whistling Dixie. And I believe there was a third statue that got butt off of its pedestal. I can't say what I want to say because, it's a family show. But they was having a good time Saturday in Charlottesville, getting them statues out of here. And thank you, Charlottesville City Council, for realizing, look, Those things need to be in museums. You know, we can't deny their spot in history because it happened. Although those that want to preserve those two want to deny everybody else's spot in history because they think theirs is the only history that matters. I beg to differ that very, very seriously. So you want to deny our history on the books? Good. We deny your history on the pedestal. Eye for an eye, big boy. Let's go. Vince Brown in the morning. Our social media question of the day is coming up. Back to more news, views, and great music. Check your watches. 27 before the hour.
Vince Brown in the morning.
We're not for sale. The Bigs Radio Network.
Vince Brown.
Overtime. BigsRadio.com.
Vince Brown in the morning.
Online and on your mobile device.
The Bigs Radio Network.
15 before the hour on Vince Brown in the morning. Get at us on the Bigs Radio line. Talk or text 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. A reminder to join us on our Bigs Radio Station Facebook group. Elevate your love for Bigs Radio to VIP status. Got podcast premieres, the social media question of the day, like we're getting ready to do in just a moment. New music for you to vote on, exclusive events, all that good stuff. Bigs Radio Station Face Group. Get there now. Social media question of the day. There goes that S word again, suppression. From our friends at the Black Information Network, Texas Republicans advanced 2 voting restriction bills over the weekend during a special session. The controversial bills would impose voter ID requirements and limit early votings on Sundays, which critics say deliberately target black voters. The restrictions also target voting options widely used by people with low incomes and people with disabilities. With the legislation, drive-through voting would be removed as an option in the state, and a ban on early voting before 1 p.m. on Sundays would be imposed. Here's the one that really gets everybody's goat. State judges would also have more authority to overturn an election under those very same bills. Now, with the restriction bills advancing closer to a full floor vote, Democrats are reportedly planning to leave the state in full to block further action. Now, the move comes as several Republican-led states advance their own election laws, among them already elected laws in Georgia, Arizona, and Florida. And in this past June, the Department of Justice announced it was suing the state of Georgia for that legislation. So that brings us to our social media question of the day. What is your solution to the wave of voter restriction bills set forth by the GOP? Hit us up on our Bigs Radio Station Facebook group. That's, again, Bigs Radio Station. Or you can talk or text your response to 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. Once again, what is your solution to the wave of voter restriction bills set forth by the GOP? Ladies and gentlemen, that'll take care of this hour on Vince Brown in the Morning. If this is your last stop, we appreciate you kicking it with us. Let's do it again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central Time, 7 a.m. on the East Coast. For those of you continuing on, more news, views, great music, our cover story, how FEMA is just absolutely dissing Southern black families with no aid whatsoever. There's a report on that. That's all coming up next hour, right here on Vince Brown in the Morning, presented by Bank of America. Make quick and easy deposit at a Bank of America ATM near you. Check your watches. It is 11 before the hour.
The Bigs Radio Network. Vince Brown.
Overtime.
BigsRadio.com.
Vince Brown in the Morning.
The catch of the day. The Bigs Radio Network.
15 past the hour on Vince Brown in the Morning. Get at us on the Bigs Radio line. Talk or text 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. Got some good news coming from our well-seasoned portion of the diaspora. WLS-TV in Chicago says a great-grandmother in Birmingham, Alabama got the surprise of a lifetime when her family took her to a bridal shop to try on a wedding dress. 94-year-old Martha May Ophelia Moon Tucker was married in 1952, a time in American history when black women weren't even allowed in bridal shops. Tucker was watching the movie Coming to America when her granddaughter heard her say she's always wanted to try on a wedding gown. She was denied the opportunity for her wedding day because of the Jim Crow laws that existed at the time. Instead, Martha Tucker wore a blue dress someone loaned to her. Well, to help fulfill a lifelong dream, Tucker's granddaughter, with the help of cousins, sprung into action, booking an appointment at a local David's bridal shop. After trying her dress on at the bridal shop, the matriarch said she didn't want to take it off. The story was so moving it caught the attention of director Ava DuVernay, who said in a tweet, quote, "A sweet story, also enraging. The indignities, obstructions, methods to control us shouldn't be forgotten. These are the facts they want to keep out of schools. What our people have had to live through is monstrous and mammoth, all to dehumanize. But we are here. Never forget." Shouts out to Grandma for getting the dress on big time. But that actually leads into our Vince's Vents for today, talking critical race theory. I've got some interesting things on that and some things I've seen online. We'll get into all of that, down the road. But shouts out to the grandmother. Man, trying that dress on for the first time, I know she was as good as she can. She probably was dancing a jig. I'm proud to say the granddaughters look out for homegirl. Vince Brown in the Morning. You thought that was wild. Wait till you hear our cover story coming up at the bottom of the hour on how FEMA has done Southern black families. Check your watches. 18 past the hour.
Vince Brown in the Morning.
The voice of the community.
The Bigs Radio Network.
Vince Brown.
Overtime. BigsRadio.com.
Vince Brown in the Morning.
The community's choice. The Bigs Radio Network.
30 past the hour on Vince Brown in the Morning. Get at us on the Bigs Radio line. Talk or text 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. Just a reminder, you can get at us every Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Central Time on the Mothership, bigsradio.com. We're also out east through our Philadelphia affiliate, soulradio51philly.com, 7 a.m. Cover story. If you live in the South or you black, you probably have heard this or have felt this. According to a story at the Washington Post, a lack of wills and deeds to prove land ownership is blocking thousands of Southern black families from qualifying for FEMA disaster aid. Following recent deadly tornadoes that ripped through Alabama, FEMA sent a state representative to a rural disaster zone to find out why more people weren't applying for grants that were worth up to $72,000. The FEMA rep, Chris Baker, discovered the long-held tradition of informal land ownership is blocking families in need from getting aid. Jim Crow laws blocked black people from participating in the legal system to obtain documents like wills and deeds, thus creating informal inheritance practice known as heirs property. Now, this type of land ownership, the Department of Agriculture said, is, quote, the leading cause of involuntary land loss. Without formal documents proving land ownership, many black families can't apply for those loans and grants. Among that, the FEMA disaster aid being talked about, which requires applicants to prove they actually own the property before those grant funds can be awarded. Well, there's some data to this, folks. Plenty of it. An analysis by the Post shows that the number of applicants getting rejected in majority black counties across the South is twice as high as the national rejected rate of 2%. In some parts of the Deep South, FEMA has rejected up to a quarter of applicants because they cannot prove they own the land. Among those hard-hit, black farmers who have similarly been cut out of lending programs and aid because of said heirs property ownership. All of this goes all the way back to 2005 when Katrina hit the area. And it ain't getting any better. Unfortunately, there's no legal basis to support requiring disaster survivors to prove they own the land or the homes, but that FEMA created the rule to prevent scammers from receiving the aid. This is what we call unintended consequences. The agency created a pathway for landowners in Puerto Rico to self-certify. However, that same program, not extended to black owners in the South. This is where the rub comes in. However, President Joe Biden has instructed FEMA to prioritize those areas that are, quote, too often overlooked in getting disaster aid. But the way that the rules are written right now, many of those families won't get the help they need because, that R word again, racism. And they want to take critical race theory out of the schools. They don't even want them to be taught. You're seeing over and over again in these stories why American history, true American history, needs to be taught in these classes. Like I said, I'm saving a lot of that for the Vince's Vents later on in the show. Because if you really want to know what the nitty gritty is, I'll tell you. But you gotta wait till Vince's Vents, all right? Vince Brown in the morning. Back to more news, views, and great music. It is 25 before the hour.
Vince Brown in the morning.
The new sound in town.
The Bigs Radio Network. Bigs Radio Network.
Vince Brown.
BiggsRadio.com.
Vince Brown in the morning.
It's all about you. The Bigs Radio Network.
15 before the hour on Vince Brown in the morning. Get at us on the Bigs Radio line, talk or text 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. Just a reminder, please join our Bigs Radio Station Facebook group. That's how you elevate your Bigs Radio love to VIP status. Got podcast premieres, new music to vote on, exclusive events, all that good stuff. The Facebook group, Bigs Radio Station. Get on it. Boy, upstate New York is on one with these police folk. According to TMZ, an upstate New York police officer is on paid administrative leave after surveillance video shows him punching a woman in the throat at an East Syracuse Walmart store on the 4th of July. Officers of the DeWitt Police Department were called to the store over reports of women fighting inside and allegedly using pepper spray. In recent released body cam footage, Officer Rory Spain appears to attempt to separate the people fighting and ends up detaining Tyriana Edmonds, the woman he later punches. The video shows Edmonds apparently trying to bite Spain's arm as he begins to lead her away, and with a closed fist, Spain punches Edmonds in the throat, knocking her completely to the ground. Bystanders recording the incident immediately reacted to Spain's punch, but as they approached, Spain told them to back up. The DeWitt Police released a 15-minute video on their Facebook page this past Thursday describing the incident and included footage from officers' body cameras around the incident, store surveillance video, and bystander cell phone video. And DeWitt spokesman Lieutenant Jerry Pace narrated said video and said that an investigation is still underway. Boy, this is one of them weird he said, she said type events that even the video can't solve. I think all the bystanders were reacting to him punching her in the throat. They probably missed her biting him on the arm, which is where all of this wildness really gets jumped off. So I don't know. This is a hard one for me, because as much as I want to be on Sister Girl's side, I'm sorry, biting an officer's arm will get you punched in the throat in a few other places. So this is almost a balance of justice if you think about it. Sometimes you just don't need to go there, if you get my drift. But who knows how this one will turn out? I really and truly honestly don't know, because I can just picture her biting a biscuit out of his arm and him just hauling off and clocking her a good one. Again, eye for an eye. Sorry about that one. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll take care of this hour on Vince Brown in the morning. If this is your last stop, we appreciate you kicking it with us. Let's do it again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central Time, 7 a.m. out east. For those of you continuing on, we will recap our social media question of the day and critical race theory, what it's really about with those trying to squash it. That's coming up in Vince's Vents. It's Vince Brown in the morning, presented by Bank of America. Make quick and easy deposits at a Bank of America ATM. near you. Check your watches. We've just hit 10 before the hour.
The Bigs Radio Network. Vince Brown.
Overtime. BigsRadio.com.
Vince Brown in the morning.
Name it and claim it. The Bigs Radio Network.
15 past the hour on Vince Brown in the morning. Get at us on the Bigs Radio line, talk or text 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. Well, it looks like another one of the greatest generation has made his last flight. The New York Times reports a black World War II veteran who helped share the story of the only black battalion that fought on D-Day just died short of 100. Henry Parham was among the 2,000 black soldiers who fought in the famous battle on June 6, 1944. Parham was recognized on the U.S. House floor 2 years ago during commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. Pennsylvania Congressman Mike Doyle said of Parham at the time, quote, "He is believed to be the last surviving African-American combat veteran from D-Day." Now, though that distinction was not officially determined, Parham did much to make the story of the 320th Battalion known. Officially known as the 320th Barrage Balloon Battalion, a unit of about 700 men launched barrage balloons designed to take down German planes who flew low during missions. The balloons would reach heights around 2,000 feet and above and were erected on the beaches between D-Day and August of 1944. Now, Parham once described the scene of D-Day with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette saying, quote, "We landed in water up to our necks, and once we got there, we were walking over dead Germans and Americans on the beach, and bullets were falling all around us." Henry Parham was born in 1921 in Emporium, Virginia, to a sharecropper and moved to Richmond, Virginia at 17 as a porter for Trailways buses before getting drafted at 21. He trained with the 320th in Tennessee and deployed in 1943 to England before D-Day. Among his honors is a Chevalier of the French Legion of Honor in 2013. All I have to say, on behalf of my late grandfather who served in the U.S. Navy in that same war many miles away. Boy, the greatest generation is getting away from us. Vince Brown in the morning. Stay tuned. We're going to recap our social media question of the day. Back to more news, views, great music. It is 18 past the hour.
Vince Brown in the morning.
Your community leader. The Bigs Radio Network.
Vince Brown.
Overtime. BigsRadio.com.
Vince Brown in the morning.
The catch of the day. The Bigs Radio Network.
30 past the hour on Vince Brown in the morning. Get at us on the Bigs Radio line. Talk or text 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. A reminder to catch this great show every Monday through Friday morning, 6 a.m. Central Time on the mothership, BigsRadio.com. And out east through our Philadelphia affiliate, Soul Radio 51Philly.com. That's at 7 a.m. And it's hump day, so you know what that means. It's another live edition of Bedtime Stories with Dr. Al Greer. The greatest love songs of all time. 9 p.m. tonight, Central Time, on the mothership, BigsRadio.com. Time to recap our social media question of the day. We were talking about the situation in Texas and other states as the GOP tries to push through, if they haven't done so already, voting restriction laws. Matter of fact, some breaking news out of the Lone Star State. There is actual footage of Democratic state legislators from Texas leaving the state on planes. It's like, oh, y'all want to do this? Good. You won't have a quorum. I mean, they were leaving in tour buses. They wanted out of there. Because they know what the rules are. I'm like, okay, that takes some mucho grande cojones to do that. So we asked the question, what is your solution to the wave of voter restriction bills set forth by the GOP? They want to call it voter integrity. People who read between the lines know it's voter restriction. What is your solution to the wave of voter restriction bills set forth by the GOP? You can answer that through our Facebook group, Biggs Radio Station, or you can talk or text your response, 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. Vince Brown in the morning. We've got Vince's Vents coming up in a skosh, talking critical race theory. What's really behind the push to keep them out of the educational system? Check your watches as we get back to more news, views, and great music. It's 27 before the hour.
Vince Brown in the morning.
The voice of the community.
The Biggs Radio Network.
Vince Brown.
Overtime. BiggsRadio.com.
Vince Brown in the morning.
Online and on your mobile device.
The Biggs Radio Network.
"15 before the hour on Vince Brown in the morning. Get at us on the Biggs Radio line, talk or text, 773-462-4447. That's 773-462-4447. Don't forget to jump aboard our Facebook group, Biggs Radio Station. Elevate your love of Biggs Radio to VIP status. Podcast premieres, new music to vote on, exclusive shows, all that good stuff. Get the good stuff first by joining the Biggs Radio Station Facebook group. Don't forget tonight, it's Hump Day. That means it's live bedtime stories with Dr. Al Greer, 9 p.m. Central Time tonight on the mothership, BiggsRadio.com. Vince's Vents. We're going theory debunking today. The views expressed on Vince's Vents, not necessarily those of the Biggs Radio Network, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or sponsors. It seems lately that there have been some interesting efforts to debunk the inclusion of what's being bandied about as critical race theory in the educational system. And it's to the point where 9 states have flat out banned it from any level of state-funded education. Now, the boogeyman approach that the GOP is taking to it, or the GOP leaning next of the woods, are saying that it makes white people look bad. or as it's now really being bandied about these days, there's some Marxist or quasi-socialist leanings to it. That's what they're saying. Here's what they're not saying, and it has way, way less to do with critical race theory and more to do with the fact that they just don't want you to know the truth about American history at all. Especially the part where their answers are heavily involved in raping, pillaging, and outright keeping the foot on the necks of black people in whatever way possible. And quite frankly, they have a captive audience regurgitating the same thing. But see, where this all goes left for them, if they really take the talking points out of it, is that there's a real undercurrent of whitewashing American history. As if slavery didn't happen, or slavery is being repackaged as indentured servitude. See, indentured servants at least got the chance to be free after a certain number of years. Not after an Emancipation Proclamation has to be put down, and then 2 years later, the last set of slaves finally figure out what's going on. That's not indentured servitude, folks. And then on top of that, and this is the other part they definitely didn't want you to know about, slavery really hasn't ended. Those that perpetrated slavery just knew how to repackage it real nice and smooth and hide it in a bunch of state laws. That's what they don't want you to know. Kind of like this voter suppression wave that's been going on. Oh, they want to call it voter integrity. But everybody and their grandma with an ounce of sense knows exactly who they're targeted after. Like Jack Nicholson said in that one movie, you can't handle the truth. And they can't. Those that continue to benefit from these same outdated, long ago practices that seem to keep rearing their ugly heads in one form or another against black people and other people of color, but mainly black people. No, they want to act like it doesn't exist. No, Chief, as long as you're benefiting from it, it exists. No, we are not post-racial. And don't even remotely get that out of your brain. You want to know when we're post-racial, when we're really post-racial? It has less to do with people being figureheads in Washington, D.C., and more with mom and pop being able to get the same type of resources as Wall Street. That is where you root out racism. Because everybody wants green. We all want equal access to it. And not just that. We want folks to really know what the real deal is with American history. Not just his story, if you get my drift. Critical race theory? Nah. They just want to whitewash American history so you really won't know what happened. That does it for this edition of Vince Brown in the Morning. Glad to have you along for the ride. Let's do it again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central Time, 7 a.m. out on the East Coast. Clock and Mix coming up across the top of the hour. The Boss Lady in the midday, Dinah and Biggs coming up at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Executive producer of Vince Brown in the Morning is Alvin Washington. Executive producer for the Biggs Radio Network is the lovely and talented Dinah Lynn Biggs. Executive producer for our Philadelphia division is Bill Hendricks. Till next time, whatever you do, however you do it, make sure you do it good, increase the peace, and no matter wherever am I, you know it's always Southside Shy. This is Vince Brown in the morning.
The Biggs Radio Network.